What's going on, beautiful people? So, I have a question. I guess it's mostly geared towards people of New York or from New York. Um, but Mayor de Blasio defunded the police by $1 billion. When I heard $1 billion, I was like, damn, that's a substantial amount of money. It's very significant. So, I started kind of looking into it, and the fiscal budget for the NYPD in 2020 was $6 billion. So this year, the NYPD budget was $6 billion, and it sounds like an astronomical number. But when you really look at it, it's not. It's definitely not what you think. And the more I looked into it, one question stuck out to me. So I want to give you some quick statistics, and then I'm going to ask you the question that stuck with me, and then feel free to answer or not. But in New York, like I said, the budget's about $6 billion, and there are about 8.5 million people that live in New York City. So 6 billion divided by 8.5 million, uh, that's dollars per citizen, and it's 700. It's about 700, a little slightly more. I think it's 704, but it's about $700 per citizen per year to fund the police at their $6 billion mark. Okay, so at $6 billion, 8.5 million people have to contribute about $700, or what breaks down to about $1.93 a day. So my question to the people of New York, the fine, law-abiding citizens of New York, not the criminal element, not the politicians, not the people with an agenda, but the men, women, and children, the law-abiding citizens. What's your stance on this? Because this is happening whether you like it or not, because they've already taken $1 billion from the budget, but this is happening. So it costs you and everyone less than $2 a day to have what comes out to be 55,000 people employed by the New York Police Department. So 55,000 people are at work protecting innocent women, innocent children, innocent elderly. So 55,000 people are protecting the innocent at a cost of less than $2 a day. And I may even have that number incorrect, because there's actually about 23 million people in the metro area, and I don't know how that budget is distributed, and I don't know if it includes the metro area or if that's just NYPD. Okay, so if that same police department has to cover that ground of 23 million people, it actually breaks down to less than 50 cents a day. Okay, so I don't know the exact range of the NYPD in that 8.5 or 23 million. So I'd have to do some more homework on that. But either way, think of it either way. Is it worth 50 cents a day to have 55,000 police officers employed by the city? Is it worth $1.93 a day to have 55,000 people protecting the sick, the weak, emergencies, things like that? And I hear a lot of talk. So that's my question. That's really, I guess, the question I'm posing to you, and I'm going to continue on another tangent here, but that's the question I'm posing to you. As a New Yorker, is it worth $1.93 a day to have the police there when you need them, or protecting your parents, or protecting your kids, or protecting your elderly, or you're sick, or you're weak, or having a first responder available? Is it worth it? Is it worth $1.93 a day? And the cost of living in New York is through the roof. I know you can't get coffee for $1.93. I know you can't get a Big Mac for $1.93. You can't get anything for $1.93 a day. So is it worth it? That's my question. And I'll go off on another tangent here with the defund the police thing. I find it very suspicious that a group of people are blaming the police for a lot of the issues, and in complete disregard for all the good that the police department does. But I wanna ask this, because people are the one of the mechanisms they're using to push this defund the police movement on everyone, because that's what's happening. Is this is happening across the country. It's even happening where I am in Texas. But people keep saying, well, you know, police shouldn't be responding to things that need a social worker or that need a psychiatrist or that need a yada yada yada. You know, it doesn't need a police officer. We shouldn't be sending police officers to these situations. Well, in my opinion, there's two solutions to that. One, create a different phone number for people that don't need emergency assistance. 811, 711, 611, 511, whatever. Dial 711 if you need a psychiatrist. Dial 611 if you need a marriage counselor. Dial 411 if you're having a mental health episode. Give people other options. Don't leave it up to a 911 operator to decide who to send out to this call. 911 operators have a tough enough job, thank you very much. Okay? So give these people another number to call. And then over time, if we see 911 calls start to drop and we start to see an increase in call volume for other sectors, then we can gradually start funneling these funds away from the police department because they're not needed as heavily, and we can do that. But that's not what's happening. Okay? And also what's not happening is, if that's your solution, if the solution is to send people out that aren't police officers, again, get set up another phone line for people to call, or have people stop calling 911 that don't need 911. If they're calling because they need a marriage counselor, tell them to call a marriage counselor. Tell them to call a marriage counselor. Tell them to call a social worker. Tell them to call their doctor. If it's not an emergency and they don't need a police officer, then they shouldn't be dialing 911. This is not a police problem. It's just not. So we need to educate people on not dialing 911 if that's the problem. If they don't need emergency assistance from a police officer, then they don't need to dial 911. It's not the police's fault for responding to a 911 call. I mean, this is bizarre. I mean, the one thing that I haven't heard anybody say, and this is supposed to be a political argument. You know, the left is saying this and the right is saying this, and they're both trash. They're both trash because the left is saying defund the police and the right's not saying anything. Okay, and it's garbage. It's garbage. This is complete trash. And the one thing that nobody's saying this, and I don't understand why. On the left, on the right, on the mainstream media, on the local media, nobody's saying this. So I guess my dumb ass has to say it. And I change oil for a living, okay? There is a criminal element among us. That is a fact. And that criminal element does not exist because of the police. However, the police exist because of that criminal element. Why is nobody talking about that? Are the police perfect? Absolutely not. Are police perfectly trained? Absolutely not. Are police perfect human beings? Absolutely not. Do police make mistakes? Absolutely. Do police protect their own to their own detriment sometimes? Absolutely. Are the overwhelming number of police interactions with citizens positive? Absolutely. There's a half a million 911 phone calls every day in the U.S. A 500,000 911 phone calls. And anybody that says defund the police, anybody that says that does not care about women or women's rights, does not care about children or children's rights, or the elderly, or the sick, or the weak, or the mentally ill, or the disabled. Anybody that spews this nonsense out of their mouth does not care about anyone but themselves. And it's staggeringly stupid to want to defund the police. Especially trying to replace it with an unproven model. If you have a proven model for us to observe and view and see how this works without a police department, I'm all ears. I'm happy to look at it. But that's not what's happening. They're saying, let's pull the plug and then we'll see what happens. Not interested. Not interested. And secondly, how dare you defund the police and redirect those funds to another cause? If there's not police, I want my money back. You're not taxing me for whatever it is you feel like you're going to spend the money on. I'm paying those taxes because I want police protection for me, my community, the sick, the weak, the elderly, the young, the women. I mean, how can you sit there and defend the defund the police movement? Do you even know what a restraining order is? I mean, do you understand that single women and kids rely on the police more than anybody for the protection? Sure. Are a lot of cops assholes? Absolutely. Are they underpaid, undertrained? Absolutely. Could they do better? Absolutely. But the way I learned it is, whoever hasn't sinned, cast the first stone. So, do we have a lot of work to do? You're damn right we got a lot of work to do. But to throw everything away? And you got no answers. You got no answers. You always cry and foul. You're always like, step one is cry foul, but you never have step two. You never have the answer. You're always quick to identify the horrific thing that's preventing you from living an existence like the rest of us, but you never have step two. You never have the plan. Just pull the plug and we'll see. We'll fill you in along the way. Not going for it. Not going for it. You know, and one more note on this. For the people that feel like the government is the answer to all their problems, let me remind you that nothing, absolutely nothing, is stopping you from giving all of your time, all of your money, all of your resources back to the government and letting them decide how to spend it and use it. Nobody's stopping you from giving over all of your resources, all of your money, all of your time. If you want to become an advocate, that's fine. Go do it. The problem is when you force other people to do it. Just because you want to defund the police doesn't mean everybody wants to defund the police. So if you think there need to be more social workers, then be an advocate for that. This is unbelievable. Like, I don't know what dimension I woke up in. This is insane. So I want to know from New York, is it worth $1.93 today to have 55,000 people on your side? And let's say there's a couple bad apples in there, because you know there are. So 1,000 maybe? I don't know. I don't know what percentage of people in your profession are good and bad, because it's going to be the same percentage of police officers. We can all do better. Every single one of us is responsible for this. Everybody lacks accountability, not just the police department. We all lack accountability. We created these circumstances. Not one group, not one person, not one event, not one situation. We did this collectively. This was supposed to be a short video, and here I am rambling and ranting. Anyway, holler at me. Let me know what you think. But this defund the police thing, I'm not seeing it. Not seeing it. But I love to be wrong. I'm good at it. So somebody set me straight.